Today in this video we are going to discuss about a very important topic of ophthalmology, that is trachoma. So what is trachoma? Trachoma is also known as Egyptian ophthalmia. It's a chronic keratoconjunctivitis which primarily affects the superficial epithelium of the conjunctiva and the cornea simultaneously. The prevalence of this disease is actually worldwide, with 150 million cases of active trachoma and 30 millions having trichiasis. And this is responsible for 15 to 20% of the world's blindness, which is next to cataract. But the thing is that trachoma causes preventable blindness. So we'll see how to prevent it. Now, etiology. So the causative agent for trachoma is Chlamydia trachomatis, serotypes A, B, BA and C. So these serotypes cause hyperendemic trachoma. Now there are other serotypes also of this bacteria, but they cause other ocular diseases. Predisposing factors. Now age. Usually the disease is common in infancy and early childhood. However, otherwise there is no age bar. Sex. There is female preponderance of the disease both in terms of number as well as severity. Race. The disease is common in Jews and it is quite rare in Negroes. Climate. Dry and dusty weather favors trachoma. Socioeconomic status. Now poor classes are usually more prone to the disease. The fact is that there is overcrowding, poor sanitation practices, poor hygiene, lack of cleanliness, and so they are like more prone for the disease. Environmental factors like dust, smoke, irritants, all of these increase the risk of trachoma. Now source of infection. So the main source of infection in trachoma is the conjunctival secretion of the affected person or the conjunctival discharge of the affected person. So one thing to note is whenever along with this bacteria there is superimposed bacterial infection, what will happen is in that case the conjunctival secretions increase. Now the source of infection is conjunctival secretion. So obviously when the amount of secretion is increasing, obviously the rate of transmission of the disease is also going to increase. What can be the modes of infection? Now modes of infection actually include direct spread, vector transmission and material transfer. By direct spread I mean through waterborne or airborne modes. By vector transmission it is usually by flies. And material transfer. Now material transfer means the transmission of the bacterium by infected or contaminated fingers of the doctors, nurses or the contaminated tonometers. So all these actually serve as material transfer of the disease. Now clinical features. Whenever we are studying the clinical features of this disease, we are going to describe it into two features. One is the phase of active trachoma while the other is phase of cicatricial trachoma. Let's see what they are. The phase of active trachoma. So active trachoma occurs during childhood due to the chlamydial infection. Now one thing to remember is in active trachoma the bacteria is always present. So whenever we are going to treat this active trachoma, the treatment is going to aim at the treatment is aimed at removing the bacteria. We have to kill the bacteria. So it occurs during childhood due to active chlamydial infection. That means the bacteria is present. The incubation period of the disease is 7 to 14 days and the onset is insidious. Now symptoms. So again we'll study symptoms under two headings. One is in absence of any secondary infection and the other is whenever there is a presence of other secondary infection. So in case of absence of secondary infections, we have mild foreign body sensation, mild lacrimation, mild or slight stickiness of the lids and scanty mucoid discharge. So all these symptoms are very mild and most of the times the disease goes unnoticed. In presence of secondary other bacterial infections, we can have discomfort, foreign body sensation, grittiness, blurring, redness, photophobia, that is difficulty in seeing light, mucopurulent discharge, sticking of lid margins, slight blurring of vision and colored halos, which is due to the prismatic effect of the mucus. Now coming to signs of active trachoma. So we can here clearly see that the first sign is congestion. That means you're going to see redness, you're going to see hyperemia. The second sign is conjunctival follicles. So in trachoma, the follicles are usually present on both the bulbar as well as the palpebral conjunctiva. But when they are present on bulbar conjunctiva, we give them a special name, that is Herbert's follicles, while there is no special name for the follicles on palpebral conjunctiva. And these follicles which are on bulbar conjunctiva, that is Herbert's follicles, they are the pathognomic of trachoma. These follicles, both on bulbar as well as palpebral conjunctiva, have boiled sago grain appearance, which we say boiled sabudana appearance. And the presence of necrosis and Leber cells inside these follicles actually differentiate the follicles of trachoma for other disease, because we have formation of follicles in various diseases, but the necrosis and Leber cells are present in the follicles of trachoma, so it helps in differentiation. So you can clearly see in the first diagram here that you can see the redness, hyperemia, and that is congestion phase. In second one, you can see the yellowish small follicles, which you can see these are yellowish or pale in color. And in third one, we can see papillary hyperplasia. Now what is papillary hyperplasia? In this stage again you will see redness, and this redness is going to give you a velvety appearance. Why? Because it's nothing but the epithelium has hypertrophied. So it's a hypertrophic epithelium, and inside this epithelium you're going to have a core of dilated vessels, which is actually providing it the redness, and this is surrounded by lymphocytes. So papillary hyperplasia is that you have hypertrophied epithelium, and this red velvety appearance or the redness which you're having is because of the core of dilated vessels. You can see it in the third image very clearly. You can see the papillary hyperplasia. Now coming to corneal signs. Along with the conjunctival signs, in active trachoma you're also going to have some corneal signs, and these include superficial keratitis. Number 2 is Herbert's follicles. So I already told you about Herbert follicles, that these are the follicles which are present on the bulbar conjunctiva, and they are the pathognomic of trachoma. Then we have progressive pannus. Now what do we mean by pannus? See, pannus is actually the cell infiltration and vascularization of the cornea. So it is of two types. One is progressive pannus and the other is regressive pannus. See, we know that the cornea is actually avascular, so we cannot have any vascularization there, right? So when trachoma occurs, actually these vessels move towards cornea and cause vascularization and the infiltration. So in progressive, see the image which is mentioned here. In figure A, you can see that the blurred thing which you can see is actually the infiltration, and the red vessels you can see which are denoting vascularization. So you can clearly see that in figure A, the cell infiltration is actually beyond, that means it has exceeded the vascularization. It's ahead of vascularization. So this is progressive pannus, which we actually see in active trachoma. While in figure B, you can see that the infiltration is behind the edges of vascularization, and that is known as regressive pannus. So in active trachoma, we are going to have progressive pannus. That means the infiltration of the cornea is actually ahead of vascularization. And the third sign and the other signs which you can see in cornea are the corneal ulcer. Now this image actually shows all the signs of active trachoma. Like in conjunctiva, you can have papillae, which will give you red velvety appearance. You can have follicles which are like yellowish or pale. Then you can have congestion of the conjunctiva, that is redness and hyperemia. Then in cornea you can see the pannus, that means the infiltration and vascularization, and you can see Herbert's follicles. The Herbert's follicles are the follicles on the bulbar conjunctiva. Now coming to the next phase, that is phase of cicatricial trachoma. So I told you we are going to study it in two phases, the phase of active trachoma and phase of cicatricial trachoma. So coming to phase of cicatricial trachoma, this manifests in the middle age, and this is due to chronic mild infection or chronic inflammation. So what happens is that whenever a person is having recurrent infections, there is development of chronic immune response which is mediated by type 4 or delayed hypersensitivity reactions. So what are the conjunctival signs which we are going to see here? Now one thing to note is that in cicatricial trachoma, you are actually not going to have the active presence of the bacteria. So when we do the treatment in cicatricial trachoma, we actually aim at removing the sequelae of the disease, because bacteria is usually not present here, it's present in the active trachoma. So conjunctival signs, conjunctival scarring. So the first thing which we'll observe is conjunctival scarring. You can see it in the picture over here. On the conjunctiva, a white line is seen. Now what happens is that this can be star shaped also, circular also, linear also, but whenever it's linear, it's known as Arl's line. So this Arl's line is basically nothing but linear scarring. Then we can have concretions. Now concretions are the white hard mass on the conjunctiva, but they're not calcareous, and they are by dead epithelium and the mucus, so that makes concretions. And other symptoms can be like xerosis, symblepharon and pseudocyst. Coming to the next, that is corneal signs. So in active trachoma we were having progressive pannus, and in cicatricial trachoma we have the regressive pannus. Then we can have Herbert pits. So in the third diagram you can see the pits on the limbus, that is the Herbert pits. Now what are Herbert pits? Whenever the Herbert follicles are treated or they are removed, then what is left behind is Herbert's pits. Now we have the third, that is corneal opacity. Now the reason of corneal opacity is actually that whenever trachoma occurs, there are various other things which like other symptoms also, like you can have trichiasis, and then you can have the entropion. So and plus you have the follicles and these concretions. So the constant rubbing of the concretions or the eyelids actually damages the cornea and leads to corneal ulcers. So when these corneal ulcers heal, they result in corneal opacity. So that is actually the reason. Others can be ectasia, xerosis, total corneal pannus, etc. Now there can be some lid signs like trichiasis, which I already told you that is actually the misdirection of the cilia. So you will see that the hairs in the eyelid are actually moving inwards, because now this is occurring because you have entropion. The lid is a little bent inwards. So obviously when it's going to bend inwards, the cilia are going to be misdirected. Then tylosis or ptosis. In lacrimal apparatus we have dacryocystitis and dacryoadenitis. Now the WHO classification of trachoma. In WHO classification we follow the Fisto classification. By Fisto we have F for follicles, I for intense inflammation, S for scarring, T for trichiasis and O for corneal opacity. So the TF or the trachomatous inflammation follicular, this basically occurs in active trachoma, and for this we need to have 5 or more than 5 follicles, that means greater than 4 follicles, and the diameter should be greater than or equal to 0.5 mm. In TI or trachomatous inflammation intense, we need to have inflammatory thickening and the presence of papillae. In TS, that is trachomatous scarring, the scarring is present, and the scarring can be linear, star shaped, as we've already discussed, and the linear one is known as the Arl's line. Then in TT, that is trachomatous trichiasis, this is labeled even if one of the eyelash is actually touching the cornea. Then CO, that is corneal opacity, so there is visible corneal opacity all over the pupil, and dense corneal scarring is present and part of pupil margin is blurred. So I told you that the other reason for corneal opacity is that when you have entropion or when you have trichiasis, what happens is there is, or follicles, concretions, all these constantly rub against the cornea because they are present on the conjunctiva, and conjunctiva is actually covering it when you blink, like when you blink your eye. Actually the conjunctiva is going to touch the cornea. So there's constant rubbing of cornea, and that actually causes corneal ulcers. When these ulcers heal, they result in corneal opacity. Complications. Now the only complication of trachoma is the corneal ulcer, which is due to the rubbing of concretions and trichiasis, as I've already mentioned. Now this is actually a very simple table which is showing you the various Fisto stages and the diagrams with it. So the first one is a normal conjunctiva. In second one you can see the inflammation, you can see the redness, and the follicles are though not very clearly visible, but you can see some follicles, the yellowish color of the follicles. Then in third one the follicles are visible, along with it the papillae are also visible, And in the TS1 you can see the Arles line. In TT you can see the misdirection of lids, they are actually projecting inwards, and in corneal opacity that's very clearly visible. Now coming to diagnosis. So clinical diagnosis is actually made from the symptoms. Whatever symptoms you see, you classify them with Fisto classification of WHO, and that is its clinical diagnosis. Coming to lab diagnosis. So in lab diagnosis we'll see we can use conjunctival cytology, ELISA, PCR, isolation of chlamydia in cell cultures, and serotyping of trig agent and inclusion bodies. So all these are the things for lab diagnosis. Now differential diagnosis. Now two important things we are going to see in the differential diagnosis. One is that trachoma, which is having follicular hypertrophy, it has to be differentiated from adenoviral follicular conjunctivitis. Now the image you are seeing below is actually adenoviral follicular conjunctivitis, and you can see the follicles are present just the same way as we have them in trachoma. So what is the difference? The difference is that here in adenoviral follicular conjunctivitis you are seeing the follicles mainly on the lower lid, while in trachoma the follicles are usually present on the upper eyelid. So the distribution of follicles in trachoma is mainly on the upper palpebral conjunctiva and fornix, while in adenoviral keratoconjunctivitis you're going to have them on the lower palpebral conjunctiva and fornix. Then the papillae and the pannus, they are the characteristics of trachoma, so they'll only be present in trachoma. Plus, if you cannot differentiate them on these clinical features, you have to go for the lab diagnosis of trachoma. The next thing is differentiation of trachoma with papillary hypertrophy to be differentiated from palpebral form of viral keratoconjunctivitis, that is also known as spring catarrh. Now the papillae, if you see in the viral keratoconjunctivitis, so you are going to see that they are quite large. So they are large papillae in that, while in trachoma the size of the papillae is not so large. So the image which you can see below, the image on the left side is actually trachoma, where you can see small papillae, while on the image on the right is the viral keratoconjunctivitis, where you can clearly see the papillae are so big in size. Then the pH of the tears is usually alkaline in the other case, while in trachoma it's acidic. In trachoma again you will be seeing follicles along with the pannus also, and so you can differentiate. Again here, if you are not able to differentiate on the basis of clinical signs, then you have to go for lab diagnosis of trachoma. Now management. In management we usually follow two things. One is the treatment, the other is the prevention. So the treatment part is discussed in two headings, the active trachoma and the cicatricial trachoma. So the treatment of active trachoma. In active trachoma we have stage TF and TI, and as I already mentioned in the beginning that they constitute active trachoma in which acute infection is present. So the infection is actually present. So the aim of treatment is to eliminate the chlamydia. So here we can give topical therapy, we can give oral therapy, and we can give a combined therapy. When is combined therapy given? Combined therapy is given when along with the ocular signs you have genital signs also, which I'll tell you. So treatment of active trachoma, for topical therapy we use 1% tetracycline or 1% erythromycin eye ointment twice daily for 6 weeks, or we can also use sulfacetamide 20% along with 1% tetracycline given 3 times a day for 6 weeks and at bedtime for 6 weeks respectively. Systemic antibiotic therapy can be tetracyclines or erythromycin 250 mg orally 4 times for 3 to 4 weeks. Drug of choice, however, is azithromycin, which is given 20 mg per kg body weight, maximum up to 1 gram, single dose. And doxycycline can also be given 100 mg BD for 3 to 4 weeks. Combined therapy, now this combined therapy, as I've already told you, is given when ocular infection is there along with the genital infection. So you can give tetracycline 1% or erythromycin eye ointment, or again drug of choice is azithromycin single oral dose. Coming next to treatment of cicatricial trachoma. So the stage TS, TC and CO constitute inactive trachoma. So here we actually have to treat the sequelae. So in stage TS, we have basically the concretions. So we have to remove the concretions with hypodermic needle. Then we have conjunctival xerosis. Xerosis is basically dryness. So we have to give artificial tears for that. Stage TT, in this you have trichiasis, that means misdirection of the cilia of the lid. So you have to do permanent lash removal, like you can do electrolysis or you can do cryolysis. Then you have cicatricial entropion, that means the inward folding of the lid margin. For that you have to correct it surgically. Then we have stage CO, that means penetrating keratoplasty. For that you can do penetrating keratoplasty, keratoprosthesis, and punctual occlusion and lateral tarsorrhaphy. Now one thing which I also want to mention over here is, like I told you that for cicatricial entropion we have to correct it surgically, right? So why is entropion occurring? See, whenever there is fibrosis, like you would see scarring, what happens is that it actually pulls everything towards itself, right? It's a condensation of the membranes. So that is why when this condensation occurs, the lid margin is also pulled inside because of this fibrosis, and that is why this inward folding of the margin. Now prophylaxis. So WHO's GET 2020 program has given a SAFE strategy. In SAFE strategy we have S for surgery, that is the tertiary prevention, A for antibiotics, that is the secondary prevention, F for facial hygiene, that is the primary prevention, and E for environmental changes, that is the primordial prevention. So environmental changes include environmental sanitation, refuse dumps, water latrines, spray to control flies, animal pen away from the household, and health education. So you basically have to maintain clean and like hygienic surroundings, as well as you have to pay attention on the personal hygiene. Then the second is the facial hygiene. In facial hygiene we have to notice that we have to wash our face frequently. Why? Because the infected person is going to have the conjunctival secretions, which are actually the mode of infection. So you have to keep washing your face so that you keep removing the infection. Now antibiotics. So for prevention we give antibiotics in areas where 10% or more of active trachoma, that is TF, in children of age 1 to 9 years is there. So for the cases where the active cases are more than 10%, the aim is to bring down this number to less than 5 years. So less than 5%, sorry. So we give a mass antibiotic therapy. In mass antibiotic therapy, we give it once in a year for 3 consecutive years, after which we do a reassessment to check what is the percentage now, and if it's less than 5%, that means the prevalence is less than 5% of the disease, then we are going to give therapy only to the patient. While if it is between 5 to 10%, then we give therapy to the patient, to his family and the close contacts. So what I mean to say is that tetracycline and azithromycin are basically given to all the community members. If it is greater, the prevalence rate is greater than 10%, we give it to all community members. If it is between 5 to 10%, we give it only to the patient, to the family and close contacts. And if it is less than 5%, then we give it only to the patient. Then surgery. So we've already seen surgery, that we were doing it for sequelae like trichiasis and entropion. So WHO recommends basically bilamellar tarsal rotation surgery at community level for the affected patient. Thank you. I hope you understood trachoma. If you like the video, do not forget to subscribe the channel and like the video.